Welcome to this digital open day for the economics program at the University of Leicester. I'm Dr. Guillaume Willem, and I will give you an overview of our program in economics. And today we are also, I have also the privilege to be with a student ambassador.
Hello, I'm Minta. I'm a economics second year student, and I'm here to talk more about the student life as well as the economics part of the degree.
Yeah, thanks. So, without further ado, let's start. So, about myself, I'm the admissions tutor for economics for the School of for the Department of Economics at the School of Business. I'm also teaching advanced microeconomics to year 3 students who have experience teaching year 3 students, master students at Leicester. I taught PhD students in the past in my career. So yeah, I have experience teaching at different levels, different crowds. And yeah, and I'm also in charge, as I said, of admissions. So any questions you have about admissions, I hope I have the time to talk about it and to answer your question. But if I don't have the time, please contact us, and I will answer all your queries about admissions. So what I will talk about today, we talk about economics at the School of Business. So I will explain what's economics and what is specific about the University of Leicester. And also Nadim will talk about student life, and there will be a Q&A session at the end of the talk so that you can ask your questions. So we'll take questions as you go, so you can write in the chat and we'll answer them only at the time. So sadly, I can't see your question live when I'm showing the slides, but I hope we can cover most of them or not all of them at the end. Right, so what's the starting point? Well, I guess the first thing you did if you were interested into the University of Leicester was to Google University of Leicester in the rankings, and you would find a sort of consistent picture across all the different rankings. So we are around 30th in the UK. So that's that gives you a general overview of where we are. But of course, if you are here today for the Digital Open Day, it's also because you want to learn something more. And I hope I will address these points precisely to give you a taste of what is specific about the University of Leicester, about our approach, because we have a particular view, a particular way to think about teaching and to prepare you for the labor market. Right. So also consistently, we have good records from the student satisfaction, right? We care a lot about what students think, and student satisfaction is a key outcome that we monitor every year. So this is something we pay a lot of attention to, and this is also reflected in our rankings. Right, and this year, I have to say that I have one more slide about rankings. This year is very special to us because we had the chance to be nominated for the University of the Year, right? So we are University of the Year for the Daily Mail, and we are shortlisted in the ranking from the Times Higher Education, so which is for us a great achievement. Also a signal that we care about all the metrics that are important for students, so what students learn and how satisfied they are and what types of job they get at the end. So I hope I will cover these areas in my talk. Right, so just to start, sadly, you're not with us in person today, but I will explain the specificity. So at the University of Leicester, there is a main campus, and the School of Business, to which the economics is part, has its own campus that's called Brookfield, and it's very close. It's a walking distance from the main campus, but it's a sort of a bubble where most of the students in business, economics, accounting, finance, marketing, they have most of their classes, right? So it creates this bubble atmosphere, and it's also the place where all the academics, myself and my colleagues, we have our offices. So we hang around. We are surrounded by students so we have lunch in the main hub at the same place, surrounded by students. So we are very approachable and very accessible to students. So for us, that's very important. Right. So let me go straight into the discipline itself about economics. So if you don't know anything about economics, the good way to start is to define economics as the study of human behaviors and organizations, right? And you can think of, well, all these aspects, all the aspects of human behaviors as being a topic of interest for economists. And an important one is decision making, right? So how people make decisions, what are good decisions, what are bad decisions, what strategies do we need to implement, how to play game strategically. These are topics that we studied in economics, right? And what's the role of incentives in affecting people's behaviors? So we want to know how people make decisions and what happens, right? So it's an important area of research. The second one that I've defined also is the role of institutions and how we can organize economic activities in the society, right? So what's the role of markets, the role of governments, the role of firms, the role of families, and many other institutions, unions? What role do they play, and how efficient they are in organizing the economic activities? So it gives you this big picture on how the society works. So related to these two broad areas of questions, I would say, we can define two traditional roles of an economist. And here I'm quoting Greg Mankiw, who teaches Principle of Economics at Harvard. He's been the teacher there for several years. He wrote many textbooks in macroeconomics, sorry, and he defined two roles, one being the scientist role, and one is the engineer role. So what's the scientist approach? The scientist approach is just to be able to come with explanations to understand what we observe in reality. When we see data, when we see unemployment, how can we explain what we observe in real life, right? So that's a very scientific approach. And the other, that is more, I would say, a policy advising role, the engineering role is what should we do? What should we do to improve things? So if you are in the government, what should you do to improve the situation? If you are in a firm, what should you do to increase your profits, right? So it's a very practical role of an economist. And that means when you study economics, you are taught important tools to solve problems. In particular, one of them is statistical methods. Statistical methods are very useful because they can give you ways to define problems, right? To know what is a problem from an objective perspective. And also it gives you tools to evaluate policies, right? So it's something that you learn on the way when you study economics. And well, to motivate more the economics, I wanted to show you example of economic questions. So at the top, I gave you some example of questions you can find anywhere. You could ask ChatGPT any questions related to economics. They would come with many, many different questions, like the impact of Brexit on the economy, on trade, the role of the Bank of England, all the questions you can think of. And I wanted to show you also a list of questions that are from our Leicester academics. So colleagues of mine, myself and colleagues, what are the typical questions we do research on, right? So we have colleagues studying digital markets, for instance, the regulation of digital markets. We have colleagues studying bias polls and the effect on political outcomes, on electoral results. Myself, I studied the impact of automation and AI on the labor market. So what I want to emphasize here, and that's the particularity of being at Leicester, at the University of Leicester, is that we are a research-inspired institution, and this affects the way we teach. you will be taught by academics that are mainly researchers and active researchers in their fields. They are active researchers because they go to international conferences, they interact with the top scholars in the discipline from the US, from the UK, everywhere. And they design the modules and the materials you will be taught with. So for you, for students, that means you have access to this knowledge firsthand from those people who are actually in touch with these big questions and have up-to-date knowledge on these topics. Our approach is research-led, and that's the way we see education. Research-led education, that's a key word. So that means we have also a very diverse body of academics. So there's a link here. So most of the academics, they come from all over the world, from Americas, North and South, from continental Europe, all the countries from Asia, from Japan, China, Australia. Every country almost are represented, from Africa as well. All the continents. And the reason why actually we have a diverse body of academics is because the process to become an academic at Leicester is very competitive, and we selected the best, the brightest people available everywhere, right? Whether they come from the UK or not, and that's also why we have this this diversity in our body of academics, which is also a sign of our research inspiration. So that's our first, I would say, the first key point of being at Leicester. The other key point is all the support we provide within the School of Business. So at Brookfield, on Brookfield campus, right, you have access, for instance, to Bloomberg terminals. We have a trading room with 12 Bloomberg terminals, and these Bloomberg terminals, they give you access to with the software that you see in movies like The Wolf of Wall Street. If you see all these monitors, that screens, when you can see the stock prices, etc., these are the Bloomberg terminals, and you have access to them when you're a student with us. The time you're with us, you have a free account, so you can connect to these Bloomberg terminals. So just to give you an idea, if you wanted to buy an access to Bloomberg individually, privately, that would cost about £2,000 a month, right? And you have it for free for the time of your study. So if you want to invest in trading financial skills in general, this is a great opportunity to have access to this opportunity, right? So first support, another important support is the careers team that we have in-house. So what does in-house mean here? It means it's within the School of Business. So in most universities, there's a careers team at the central level, at the central university level, and this is the case for the University of Leicester as well. There's a careers team centrally that can talk to all the students in the university, but on top of that, what we have is a careers team within the School of Business, dedicated to students from the School of Business to target jobs in all the business sectors, from economics, accounting, finance, because we know the students, they look at more or less the same jobs, and they require a very specific preparation, right, to prepare for the interviews, for the graduate schemes. And our careers teams is specialized in preparing our students for these careers, right? So I think that's a key point, I think, a key advantage of studying economics at Leicester. So in terms of placement, economics is a very safe discipline to study, right? In terms of employment, at the University of Leicester, more than 90% of students, they find a job within 15 months after graduating. So it's the best in terms of placement. It's also great in terms of pay. Studying economics is one of the best fields if you are looking for high wages. I have a slide on that actually later on. So let me move on to our courses specifically and the structure of our programs. So we have 5 BSc programs in economics. So the way you can understand these courses are that it's economics with a side, right? So you can choose economics with a side of accounting, economics with a side of business, economics with a side of banking and finance, and economics with a side of data analytics. Or you can take economics without any side, pure economics, right? And the particularity of these programs is that the first year is common. So that's also an important element. The first year is common. And so all the students, they are pulled together in the same lectures. They have the same seminars, the same module leaders, everything the same. So that means also if you are registered as a student in business economics in year one, and if at the end of year one, you realize that you don't want to study business anymore and you may want to switch to economics and accounting, you can still do it without repeating year one because the first year is common. And so that, for us, that means there's no cost for you to switching you to another course at the end of year one. And in practice, many students actually, they pick their specialty at the end of year one, right? So they are registered in economics and they pick business economics. So it's very good in terms of flexibility, because that means you have the time also to find what you like, right? You can talk to your peers, to year 2, year 3 students to learn more about the programs and the types of jobs you can get. And so you can make a more informed choice during year 1 without the pressure of looking for all these programs in different universities at the same time. You have 1 year to decide, in a sense. So that's a key element in our programs. So here also an example of, well, not an example, but actually the content of year 1 in all these economics modules. To reemphasize, this is the same year. So first semester, you will have the first 4 modules here, and the second semester, you have the 4 last modules that are listed. So we will introduce 2 contemporary issues. So you will focus on different topics, and that would be also the opportunity to discover group works in your curriculum. The other key elements in in this first year are microeconomics and macroeconomics. So we'll be initiated to these major disciplines. And the last element of the first year are the foundational courses, the foundational modules, sorry, in maths and statistics. So the way we see the maths in our module, in our programs, is that in the first year, you learn the tools, you learn everything you need to know about math and stats, and then from year 2 and year 3, you don't learn anything new about maths and stats, but you just apply the tools that you learn from year 1. So the way I approach that and the way I talk to students about the maths contents is you just invest in the first year in learning these tools, and then you just have to apply these tools to different modules, including my module in year 3 in advanced microeconomics. Right, so that's the structure. Right, so let me talk a little bit about some options you can do also when you study economics. So you have the opportunity to spend a year abroad, or the study abroad. So we have partner institutions in different places, in different countries. So you have the opportunity between year 2 and year 3 to go to study in a different program. And also more, I think it's something that students are more interested in practice, is the option to do a year in industry. And it's very important also for employers, because well, employers, they like to see experience in your CV, of course, and a year in industry is one of the best way to have this line in your CV. So how does it work? Between year 2 and year 3, you can spend a year working for a company in a placement, right? And here I gave you an example of jobs that our recent students did, right? In the last 3 years, we had students in Adobe, IBM, Deloitte, Mercedes-Benz, in different jobs, but broadly in these 3 main categories: business analysts, auditors, and finance assistants. So that does not mean it's only the jobs, the placement you can get, but it's just some categories roughly to give you an idea of what you can get if you study economics. So as I said, we have an in-house careers team. I don't want to spend more time on it. So they are there to help you prepare your CV, your interviews, the graduate programs. So I will skip that. And I wanted to show you what you can get really from an economics degree in practice. So in sort of abstract terms, I can tell you about skills you learn in economics, right? What you learn is how to be a good decision maker, right? You will master decision making, strategies, the role of incentives. So that will provides you with a good understanding of how people behave and what you should do if you want to maximize your objective, right? So an understanding of the incentives of people and the understanding of the economic institutions. In terms of skills specifically, that means problem-solving skills and statistical methods, right? And here I provide you some examples of jobs our recent graduates went into. So we are talking about economics students graduating from our economics program. So we had a variety of jobs really. So from accounting, data analysts, the civil service, in HR also. So someone joined Love Productions that I didn't know before, you may know, but they are the producer of the Great British Bake Off. Right, so it's also a job you can get if you study economics. So it opens many doors, right? So also in the financial sector, in the banking sector, consulting. Yeah, these are the typical jobs we have from our graduates. So I won't have time to show you the graphs about pay, but I have to take my word on it. So economics is one of the fields that pay the most, right? If you have to choose any fields in terms of pay, probably you would have to pick economics if you want to maximize your pay. So that's just something to bear in mind if you are thinking about a particular field. So yeah. So I don't have much, and I want to give more space to the student ambassador, to Nadim. So I will be very brief about how we teach. But here, there's nothing new, I think, in comparison to other universities. There are two main ways to learn in a module. One is to attend the lectures when we have a large group in a lecture theater, given by the module leader, and the other is a small group, what we call seminars, so at most 20-25 students per group. The idea is that it's more interactive and you can apply firsthand the concepts you learn from the lecture, right? On top of that, all the academics have an office hour policy, so 2 hours per week students can drop in without any appointment and talk with the module leader about any questions related to the lectures or the seminars. Right, so I will stop here and give the floor to Nadim. We'll talk more about student life.
Okay, thank you very much. So in terms of student life, there is a lot you can be doing with economics outside of your degree and outside of your lecture hours. So there's lots of societies, including the School of Business Society. Recently, they've started a specific economic society, and I know that they're currently working on Model UN as well. Apart from that, there's also things like the Bloomberg Trading Challenge. So there's a lot of academic things you could be doing outside of your academic hours, if that makes sense. There's industry and guest speakers. So just yesterday, I attended a talk from an economics alumni who works at the Competition and Markets Authority at the moment. So it's always good to hear from people within the industry that have been in the same position as you and get tips and advice because they've been through the same journey as you. So it's always useful to attend things like that. And there is a lot of availability of events such like that you can attend when you go to university here. Year in industry, internships and placements have already been covered. The Careers Hub, I would say, is really, really amazing. They really are happy to help at any point. I believe their drop-in sessions are a couple of hours every day where you can just go in and get advice on your CV, on applications, on mock interviews, kind of anything they're able to help you with. Study abroad again has been covered, but that is again an amazing opportunity to kind of add to your CV, but also add to the experiences you have whilst you're at university. So you can become a school rep and a course rep. They're again great ways if you want to have more of a say in the way your degrees run and the way you want to be taught, which is more autonomy than you have when you're at school, in my opinion. And then paid work opportunities through being an ambassador like I am here today. I found it a really great way to make new friends as well. And there's a lot of different ways that you can get involved with things and meet like-minded people beyond just going to your lectures. So I find that really useful about being here. Thank you. So the student union is again really great. There's over 100 societies. If you are to go onto the student union website, you'd be able to see what is available to you. There's quite honestly a society for absolutely anything, and if there's not, you can make it. And if there's any like specific interest you have, you are able to express that and make a society for it. There's the varsity games as well, which happen, I believe there's around this time every year. I know the other day they had a varsity darts match on against De Montfort University, which is quite fun to go to because there's quite a competition between the two universities, if that makes sense. There's an O2 Academy on site, so that's where the Wednesday nights are held, but also there's also music events. So they tend to be quite niche bands, in my opinion, but if there's something you like, you can go and visit there. I believe tonight, the Wednesday night, is 80s versus 90s or something like that. So it's always quite fun to get involved and have a social element to university apart from your degree. Like I said, there's different events every week. Volunteering opportunities. I know there's a volunteering society specifically, but there's also other opportunities throughout the year that you can get involved with, which is really honestly no commitment, but you are able to do things like that if you are interested in it. So many different eateries. I come from quite a small place in London, so coming to Leicester was really, really great for me because the range of food that you're able to get, not even just on campus, in the city as well, but especially on campus. So vegan, vegetarian, halal, any kind of like food requirements that you have, they do cater to it, which I found really, really refreshing coming here. Counselling and welfare support. I would say that the support in Leicester is one of the best that I've seen in general, in terms of there is a specific counselling and welfare support. There's ULSB support specifically. You can contact your personal tutor if you have any questions at any point. You can be assigned a peer mentor as well at the start of your first year. So there are a lot of different channels through which you can gain support if at any point you do need it. So Brookfield, as it was touched on before, is quite secluded. It's about a 10-minute walk from campus through Victoria Park, so it's quite a lovely walk. And it's quite secluded. It's a lot more peaceful than main campus, I'd say. And there's like it was mentioned before, there's the Bloomberg trading room, there's the hub, the cafe. There's 2 lecture theatres, I believe, on Brookfield, as well as lots of different spaces where you can go if you have a gap in between. You can go and study there, and you can always go speak to your lecturers as well. So the campus is very close to the city accommodation. It's about a 10-minute walk. The city is where I believe there's a slide on the city next, actually. Yep. So I'll touch on that then. Oh, sorry, could you go back, please? Thank you. Yep. So there's great academic and sports facilities. So the library is open 24/7, which is great during exam season. You can go at any point. There's a Daniel Brown Sports Centre. So there's a gym at a very subsidised cost. There's a swimming pool in that gym, so there's lots of different facilities available if you are interested in doing things like that. Again, there's Percy G, which is where the student union is, so there's lots of different little pockets that you can go and explore and find where you best want to learn and best want to go and hang out. There's the Global Lounge, which is always really nice to go sit in as well. And so the Botanic Garden, that's on Oadby. That's a really lovely space as well, I'd say. It's not somewhere you could go every day because it is quite far out unless you live at the village, but it is really nice to go visit. And on-campus GP is always great because at the start of the year, everyone does tend to get very ill, and it's nice to be so close and be signed up there. Could you have the next slide, please? Thank you. So the city is the accommodation that is closer to campus. It's about a 15-minute walk, and it's where I lived first year. It's really, really big. It's smaller than the village, but it is still really big, and there's lots of different things you can be getting involved in, as it lists here. So the bus system in Leicester is really, really great. I'd say you can get to the city very easily, like the main Leicester city, very easily, as well as anywhere else you would need to get to. Shopping, like there's the main High Cross, there's Foss Park, and there's all the smaller shops within and around High Cross. There's always something going on in town, and at the moment there's all the Christmas markets, but as it says, around Diwali there's a lot of Diwali things going on, as well as fireworks around bonfire night. So every big event there is a lot going on that you can get involved in outside of the university events, if that makes sense. Is that my last slide?
No, well, there's accommodation if you can
yeah,
talk about just about
that's
the last
one.
Like
I mentioned, I lived in the city for the first year accommodation, and in my opinion the Leicester accommodations are very, very cheap. I believe they start from around £70 a week, which is very, very cheap. I lived in a shared bathroom first year accommodation, which was it was shy of 100. It was about 90 something. So it is very, very reasonable, and there are a lot of different options. If you'd rather live closer to campus, you can live in the city, or if you would not mind living slightly further away but with more of a social circle and more of a social environment, then you can live in the village, which has the free shuttle bus which runs to and from campus. So it's not at any extra cost to you, but it is slightly further away, so you would have to wake up slightly earlier for those 9 a.m s. So it depends which bit you prioritize. There's a sports centre on ODB, and if you're on the city campus, then you can go to the sports centre on main campus. Apart from that, Wi-Fi is included, bills are included, there's accessible rooms if that's what you require, and there's quite a lot of variety in what is available to you and what you prefer to have, if that makes sense.
Right, thank you. So I want to give time to address your questions. So I will, just show you this slide about typical offer. If you have any questions, drop us an email you can ask questions in the chat, of course, but also write emails to the USB, to the School of Business. We are happy to answer. And well, without further ado, let's look at your questions. So I will stop sharing the slides. So first question, how far away is main campus from Brookfield? So I think we answered that one.
It's about a 10-minute walk, and it's through Victoria Park, so it's quite nice. Yeah,
it's very close. Main campus to Brookfield. Well, personally, I have a bike, so you can also commute by bike. There are you can park, so it's like 5 minutes already by bike, and you don't have to be on the road, so it's nice.
It's about 20-25 minutes walk from the city accommodation.
So second question, how much studying is done at Brookfield? So from your experience, Nadim, how is it? I mean, you are in year 2, right?
Could you repeat that?
How much studying is done at Brookfield?
Oh, okay. So in first year, I didn't have any hours at all in Brookfield in terms of lectures. This year now I'm in second year, about half of it is. So 2 of my modules, the lectures are in Brookfield, the other 2 are still on main campus. And from my experience, people I've spoken to in third year, they move entirely onto Brookfield. So it is a transition between the 3 years, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so for instance, the module I teach in year 3, it's only on Brookfield. So the seminars and the lectures are 95% on main campus. Yeah. So in the lecture theatre on Brookfield, sorry, at Brookfield.
Yeah,
so
I wouldn't say it's a worry. I'd say that the distance between Brookfield and main campus is really not far. So it's not a worry of having to try and juggle between the 2.
Yeah. So then, how much maths is involved in the course? So from your experience, so can you tell us your background in terms of maths and how you felt about the first year?
So I did do A-level maths, which was, I would say it was helpful, but it wasn't necessary. So the way we were taught maths at the start of our degree is they teach you from very basic levels. So everyone has GCSE maths that comes into the course. So it is, I would say, taught from just around GCSE level, and it's very built upon. So if you are going to your lectures, you are attending your seminars, and you are speaking to your lecturers if you have any problems, then I wouldn't say not doing maths A-level holds you back at all. I've had friends who didn't do maths A-level that did better than me, because you do learn everything step by step. And I would say it's definitely not hold back at all because of the way it's taught.
Right. So we have another question from a prospective student. Are work placements guaranteed? And do you choose the company or does the university?
So applying for placements, from what I know, you can add here if you do believe there's anything else to be said, but it is very a personal process, and you are expected to apply for that. So the school do offer you lists of different internships you can apply for and different placements you can apply for. They can email you about different placements. You can go and speak to the careers hub about what's available, but essentially it's up to you to apply. And once you've applied and once you've secured a position is when your degree gets changed into a 4-year course, if I believe that's correct.
Yeah. So if I can add on this, so it's the responsibility of students to find placements, but we offer support. So we can help you identify companies or roles that you may like. And we also have an alumni network also. So we have past students in different companies, and we have this connection that can also help you to connect and find a placement in the places where our alumni are, because they know what we teach, they know the quality of our program. So it's something reputationally we would use that network, of course, and that's accessible to you for placement, but also when you have to find a job after the degree. So next question I have is it easy to fit in a part-time job while studying?
I can speak from experience. I would say, so long as you're on top of your work, I'd say it's quite easy to fit a part-time job on. So obviously I do the student ambassador, but apart from that, as we mentioned, there's the O2 Academy, so I currently bartend there as well. And I'd say, so long as you're attending your lectures, so long as you're staying on top of your seminars, I would say it's quite easy to fit in a part-time job, so long as the hours suit you and you're able to fit that in.
Good. So, do we have other questions? Yeah, so I think so it's still time if you have any other questions, otherwise we'll wrap up and conclude the session. So I will just wait 30 seconds in case you need time to type in the chat. Otherwise, again, if you have any questions, there's an email address you can contact at the bottom of the chat, ulsb@leicester.ac.uk. So it's the email address for the School of Business. Actually, I talked about it in the presentation. So any questions from admissions to student life, drop us an email and we'll answer your questions. So otherwise, in that case, I will conclude. So thank you very much for attending. I hope this was a useful session. And well, I hope to see you next year, perhaps if you apply. Thank you. Thank you, Nadim, also, and thank you, Lois, for organizing the meeting.
Thank you very much.